Bulletins. Let me now go across immediately to India's ambassador to the United States, Taranjit Singh Sandhu, who's joining us here on the show now. Many thanks, Ambassador Sandhu, for speaking with NDTV. My first question, sir, to you is, what are some of the specifics that we can look at over here in terms of collaboration and takeaways from this big visit of the Prime Minister?
Maha, you are aware that Prime Minister has visited the United States on several occasions, but this time it's a state visit, and it would also be landmark and very comprehensive. So, substantive and ceremonial elements will clearly show the depth of the partnership and the warmth between the two leaders. Now, you asked about the focus areas. I would broadly say 5 of them. First would be health, and in that, affordable medicines and affordable vaccines are extremely important now, especially after COVID. In that, perhaps you may be aware that India plays a very significant role in providing generics to United States, and similarly in vaccines. In fact, the co-production of vaccines has led to the prices coming down actually from $60 to $1. So healthcare is going to be one focus area. Okay. Then another one is going to be tech, and that is a basket which includes IT, digital, startup, innovation. In each of these, there is something that can be said, and it's a very critical area. Similarly, the third is going to be clean energy, and as you know that renewables are an important focus both in the United States and in India. And within renewables, we have the solar, battery technology, hydrogen. These are again key areas which would be under discussion. Fourth is what I would describe as education and knowledge partnership. You know that under the new education policy, there is a huge focus and a great opportunity now for having campus-to-campus relations, intertwining of degrees, doing joint research work, and having many other possibilities. But again, an important focus is going to be skilling. As you are aware that India has a very young population, and that young population is not only an asset for India, but can also be an asset in bilateral relationship with the United States, but global good too. So that's another important area. And similarly, the final one I would say is defense and strategic. Again, there is much more understanding on international issues today. And defense, as I have mentioned to you, that the tech is cross-cutting. And United States is one of the most important tech powerhouses, and India is an emerging powerhouse. And therefore, it is but natural that there will be much more collaboration on that. I would say the important takeaways will be the convergences in tech, defense, science, economic collaboration that will be adequately reflected. And finally, I will just like to say that there is an underlying foundation which is today different from what was earlier. Firstly, all these focus is people-oriented, is development-oriented. Secondly, trust and confidence are important ingredients. For example, the sharing of technology just will not be possible. You have seen the US NSA, who was recently in India, and earlier our NSA had come here in January, and you are seeing so much of focus on ISET. The trust and confidence is an important part of that. And of course, the strategic convergence is very much there. And finally, if I may say, that this is not only for the good of both, that is United States and India, but also for the global good.
All right. Sector by sector, you've given us a sense of what we should be expecting. Now, I want to understand from you the significance that Prime Minister Modi will be addressing the US Congress for a second time.
See, the US Congress has traditionally, and when I say traditionally, I mean relatively vis-a-vis other institutions, has been an early investor in India, if I may use the American terminology. They have been much more positive since the late 90s. And indeed, this is going to be, of course, the first time an Indian leader in the last 75 years will be addressing the US Congress twice. And by doing so, our Prime Minister will join the league of Nelson Mandela, Winston Churchill, and the Israeli leaders. Very, very few people have been welcomed to address the Congress twice. And you are aware that last time he addressed it in 2016. It's there in the YouTube for anyone to see. You can see the reception that was given. But it's also true that the world has changed in many ways in the last few years too. Pandemic, technology, essentially the technology revolution happening in India, the economy, the environment. And I must mention to you here that there is a lot of excitement in the United States, particularly in the US Congress, to actually listen to the Prime Minister at the congressional platform and listen to his vision for the partnership. And in this, two aspects are very significant. One, this joint invitation this time was signed by the 4 top leaders of US Congress. That reflects the bipartisan support that India enjoys at the capital. Secondly, there is certainly interest in India, in its growth story, and obviously its young population and potential.
Ambassador Sandhu, my final question to you is with regards to trade and business. The Prime Minister is expected to meet many CEOs. Who are some of these big ones? Can you give us a glimpse of some of the big names that he's likely to meet?
See, ahead of the visit, I am going to avoid getting into specifics, but I can certainly confirm to you that Prime Minister will be interacting with the top CEOs and professionals in different programs. There's the White House dinner, there's the State Department Vice President's lunch, there are going to be direct meetings, there's an interaction with professionals, etc., etc. And in this, I think it's important to note that the economic partnership between the United States and India has been expanding. The trade stands at record level, that is 190 billion plus at this moment. And this is despite the fact we don't have an FTA, or even taking into account that COVID had led to a lot of economic problems both world over, including in the United States. And we have also had a number of ministerial trade policy forum meetings already held. The CEO forum and commercial dialogue again was held. The CEO forum was constituted, and that includes the top CEOs from both the sides. And of course, you are also aware that we are part and parcel of Indo-Pacific Economic Framework. Amongst the sectors, and here again, I just want to underline, the technology is going to be an important focus area. And you have seen the launch of ISET, and in ISET, semiconductors, AI, quantum, telecom, which includes 4G, 5G, 6G, space. These are all going to be important elements of that. And finally, of course, defense industrial collaboration. You saw that the Defense Secretary of the United States was recently there, and he signed an important agreement there. So this collaboration is going to be important and futuristic.
Ambassador Taranjit Singh Sandhu, many thanks for speaking with NDTV.